who's the first character or first IP that comes to your mind when you hear about the amnesia trope?
The Bourne Identity. The whole Jason Bourne thing, the very first story, to me, it's the best amnesia story there has been, I think.
You know,
Because
you know what? Just to put on that, I agree as well. But what are your reasons? And I'll tell you my reasons.
So I'm going to get to this probably a little bit later. I'll bring it up again.
Yeah.
Because to me, the best amnesia stories are the ones that take a familiar story and then throw it out with the amnesia thing. If you think of Bourne, if you take the amnesia away, it's just a normal spy story, right? It's just a guy on the run, conspiracy, all that stuff. The amnesia thing, it throws a whole new... the concept feels completely fresh. It feels completely different. I think you can also say the same thing with Memento, 51st Dates, whatever other amnesia stories. They're not using it as a gimmick. It just complicates the entire story. I think that's what makes it so great for me.
Yeah. And the way I liked how it was framed, because again, his body remembers but he doesn't. So it's like, as an audience member, you're still watching him like learn who he is in real time, right. And because it's action as well, it's a kind of a different payoff.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Remy?
No, I was just going to say shout out to Memento. I love that you referenced it, and 51st Dates. Come on, how do you put those two movies in the same sentence and they still make sense? I love that you did that. So I already love you, Jake. That's good.
and I'm trying to think of another example where it's like it's clear cut, where everyone, like, we kind of all agreed just then that the Bourne Identity is a good example of the trope. Yeah. Okay, so what would you say the worst one is off the top of your head?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, actually.
It was the one where you rolled your eyes as you were watching it or reading.
I'm really trying to think now. Oh my gosh. Nothing comes to mind right away, so I may have avoided that. I may have been a lucky one that has never had to sit through that. Do you have examples of that?
Well, I got something.
Okay. You want to go first? You want to go first? I'll give mine after yours.
Well, I also didn't give my first one too, so I'd like to get back to that one when it's time. But hold on. Sorry, I just have to bring up the name of this damn movie. Sorry, it just literally slipped my mind. Can I go back to the real quick?
Done well. We'll start with that.
It's The Jacket.
Okay.
It's the Jacket with it's Keira Knightley and it's hold on, I'm really good. I tend to be good with names. Adrian Brody. There you go.
Okay.
Have you guys not seen that one?
What year was this one?
Let me pull up The Jacket. Hold on. So The Jacket was 2005.
Okay.
And it's a thriller sci-fi. It's so essentially, think about, was it the 12 Monkeys?
Yeah.
You guys seen that? So that vibe, The Jacket, except it is Adrian Brody being he's put into a psychiatric ward, and as a form of psychotherapy, they put him in a what do you call it? A cold storage for deceased bodies. You know, so those little so they put him in there in a straitjacket, and they leave him in there overnight. Now, when he goes in there, he travels through his memories back in time. It's a whole thing, but he can't remember certain things. So it's I don't want to give too much away, but definitely check it out if you have, and especially since you mentioned Memento. If you like Memento, if you like Requiem for a Dream, you're gonna love The Jacket. So let me go back to the what I think was a good rendition of that, and then the bad one. It's a Mark Wahlberg movie. It's the hold on. Let me pull it up. It's so bad it's not even listed. Infinite. I was like, it's not even listed under his most recent, but it's the movie Infinite, which is based on a novel, by the way. I actually bought the novel. Haven't read the novel yet, but I bought the novel just because it sounded amazing in the pretenses that we live on forever, right? Well, there are very specific individuals that are able to keep their memories and live on in different bodies, different vessels, if you will, but they get to retain their memories. And so That's the book essentially, but the movie in rendition of it, Mark Wahlberg plays the protagonist, and he just shouldn't have played the protagonist, in my opinion. It's a good concept, but the concept is that he, in this current life, experienced a car accident, and so he couldn't remember all those previous lives from hundreds of years ago. And then his crew finds him and realize, oh, you don't even remember us? What? And so they have to figure out a way to help him remember his skills because he's the leader of their group. So I love the idea, the premise and all that, but I think it was poorly executed. Let me stop there.
With that one, though, it's kind of interesting because I'm wondering if, because the trope's been done to death since 2005, is that affecting how you feel about it? Like, was it fresh at the time?
It's acting. It's poor acting. That will affect it every time.
Yeah, I just tried to save it. I just tried to save it a little bit, but
no, I got no animosity against Mark Wahlberg, but he always acts as if he's crying. Like when he speaks, it's like he's always whining. I can't stand that. I just, it bothers me. I have yet to see a movie. Now, hey, I mean, look, like I said, I got no beef with him, but I just can't watch him anymore.
My example for the one done poorly is there's a game called Sleeping Dogs, and then a character in the game, it's only temporary, and it's a clear plot device to try and make him vulnerable. Yeah. They didn't like kind of give him all these layers and peel it back to kind of reveal. It's like just for a short period, and it's just like the most obvious plot device I've seen. So I think that's why that one stands out to me. But in terms of films. In terms of movies, one's probably going to come to me. I'll do a movie one after, but Sleeping Dogs, that's the one that came straight to my head, and that's like in video games, and it was only temporary as well, so it took away the penalty of having memory loss.
There's no stakes to it.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's kind of removed in the early moments, so you don't really get the same kind of payoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other obviously bad ones.
Yeah, I can't think of any. Like, I'm sure you could probably find some if you went through like the Sci-Fi Channel stuff. You could find like thousands and thousands of them.
Why did you say that though? But why did you say it like that? I agree with you, by the way, but I want to hear your thoughts on why you said that.
So to me, I have no animosity with the Sci-Fi Channel. Let's just get that out of the way straight up, Brad.
You have to get that in there.
I think to me, those kinds of movies, the kind of made for TV stuff, I think they can get away with a lot more than a mainstream movie can. They can literally just put the tropes on the screen and do nothing with them. Like, they don't have to tweak it, they don't have to do anything. You can get away with anything. If you watch a Hallmark movie, you've seen 1,000 Hallmark movies, right? It's like, my mother loves them unironically. I've seen one, I'm like, I'm done with that. I don't need to see another again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the same with the Sci-Fi Channel. You know what's going to happen. You know the tropes that are going to happen. It's going to unfold. And, to me, that's what it is. But at the same time, it works for the audience that they're trying to appeal to. So, I guess there's that.
Okay, so would you say it's a genre thing? Because obviously it's more common in genres where there could be a piece of equipment or some kind of technology that, messes with memories and that kind of thing. So do you think it's a sci-fi thing?
Not necessarily, because again, like I think of 50 First Dates was one that came to me by accident the other day. Because I was trying to think of Amnesia movies, and I kept coming back to it because to me, what I find so fascinating about that movie is it's a comedy, right? It's a romantic comedy. If you think of that story from her perspective, that every single day Adam Sandler comes up to her and says, "I'm in love with you, and I've been in love with you. We've been in a relationship for like 6 years."
Mm-hmm.
That's a horror movie. Like, that's a horrifying thing. Like a really scary thing. So I don't think it has to be sci-fi. I think you just have to find a really creative route to incorporate that into your story. And that's kind of the mark of a great story to me. Yeah.
I love what you just said. And Carmine, I like to challenge what I hear. And so what I'll challenge it with is Men in Black. And the whole premise of Men in Black is that aliens exist, but no one knows but the secret society.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. And how do they prevent new people from finding out? They zap you. Boop, you're gone. You know, that's a quick device to just make it an easy. Boop,
that is so crazy.
That's right.
Like that's a literal plot device.
But to get their memories back, it was way more elaborate, and they did that, right? And then so I love that they were like, hey, you know, it's not the main plot device necessarily, but we need to get Tommy Lee back.
Yeah.
I feel like some writers are like, yeah, man, we messed up by letting Tommy Lee leave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, let's bring him back for number 2. What? No, one and done. Move on. They can't move on though.
Does that not cheapen it for you?
Very cheap.
Okay. Yeah, because that's going to bring me on to obviously the first question. Like, as a reader, when you see those, do you immediately think, oh, the author's being a bit lazy here, or...
It's not the author. It's not the author. It is whoever is putting the movie out.
Yeah.
It's the person who wants the movie to succeed. Everyone wants the movie to succeed, but the person who really needs the movie to succeed to get the return, and that's all they're looking for is the return on investment, that person needed Tommy Lee back. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
Because the new direction from the writer probably would not have netted you the same value that Will Smith and Tommy Lee's name gave you in the first movie. That's as simple as business.
That's a good point as well, because you don't have the same problem in a book where obviously the audience are being asked to use their imagination, like for the characters. When you got the actors there and you're expecting a certain level of performance, I mean, it doesn't really matter how good the script is, or
that's right.
If they don't convey, in real time the message.
Like Chris Hemsworth in number 3. Because why? Because he's Thor.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that phenomenon's called, where you can't separate the actor from the character.
It's called the Marvel phenomenon. That's just all of them. All of them.
Everyone's been in a Marvel movie at some point.
Exactly the same. I think to go along with that, I think I completely agree with Remy. There are so many things that I've seen where I've looked at a script, I've read a script, and I think it's really good, solid, like a couple notes, fine. If that gets released, it is so wildly different, because obviously all the executives and everything have gone in because of marketing and all this stuff. It has completely been eroded, and it is. I do give the authors a lot of leeway when it comes to a bad movie. I have to kind of accept a little bit. I don't think it was entirely their fault. I'll let it slide a little bit. I'm not going to blame them, because there's so many people.
Especially if the book's good.
Especially if the book's good.
Yeah, true.
And they cast Mark Wahlberg. You have to be like, okay, decisions have been made. That's fine. That's fine. But yeah, to answer the question about, the question was about if it was lazy, right?
Do you see that and think, oh, they're trying to take a shortcut here, or?
No, it depends on the execution,
right?
More than anything else. If it is just a convenient scapegoat because you've gotten yourself into a corner and you think we need to get Tommy Lee back, and something like that, then I would probably say you're just desperately trying to come up with a solution to do it. If it is an actual, if it makes the story, if it complicates things, then I go, okay, you're doing something with this.
Yeah.
You're actually thinking about how to make this harder, which is why Memento is a great example of that, because the disjointed time thing and the tattoos and all the stuff, it's so much of it is you have to piece it together in such a way that the amnesia makes it so much harder, and it just makes it more compelling, because then there's so much more to unravel than if it's just a plain who am I story.
Yeah,
basically.
So just on that as well, that brings me on to what do you prefer? If someone's trying to remember their heroic past, or someone who may have forgotten they were a monster. How do you look at those two approaches to the trope?
I mean, again, it's so much of this is going to be execution dependent, because every writer will approach that differently, and in some ways they may be the same thing, depending on whatever you look at it. To me personally, if I had to choose between those two things, I would say the monster one would be more interesting, if only because a hero we already know is going to be a good guy. We kind of know Jason Bourne's going to be a good guy by the end. So there's not a lot of stakes to it. With the monster, aspect, number one, you don't know what they've done. So that's going to escalate to a point where you don't really know what's going to come next. So everything that's going to happen is going to be a very clear moral choice on their part, or an escalation, or the stakes are going to be high, whatever it is. It's going to be so much more complicated and interesting than if you just have Superman, can't remember who Superman is. It's like, well, he's going to figure it out because he can fly. Like, it's not going to be the hardest thing.
Yeah.
If Superman suddenly realizes, oh, I've actually like massacred half of Metropolis, what the hell did I do? Then you go, okay, that's more interesting. That's a more interesting angle to try and like deconstruct it that way. So it's execution dependent, but if I had my choice, I always go for the darker route because I just find it more morally interesting.
Yeah, I have to agree with that as well. And staying on the Marvel topic, there was a storyline where Wolverine was experiencing like illusions, and then he ended up killing his whole team. And then
that's right.
Yeah, I think it was Mysterio did something to his memory, and then he forgot his team. He saw them as villains and actually killed his whole team. And then he has to deal with the tragedy of being the person that kind of like killed the X-Men.
It's so much more interesting.
Yeah.
It's so much more interesting than if you just have a character who's like, oh, I did a good thing once, but I can't remember what it is, or I have to kind of reclaim that. It's just like, well, okay, but it's, we know how that's going to go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, Wolverine's killed his whole team. We don't know how that's going to play out. We don't know if he's going to do it again. We don't know if it's going to be worse this time, or if he's going to, it's just always more interesting when you have like the morally complicated routes, in my opinion, is what I would say to that.
Yeah. And what would you prefer, Remy, when it comes to that?
I hate to continue to agree with you because I do, and that's the fun part is meeting more like-minded individuals, right? So I love that, Jamie. And let me stop there. Jamie, do you prefer Jamie or Jay?
I don't mind.
I see Jay on the screen.
I do not mind. Yeah.
Okay. But to answer your question, what do I prefer? I agree. I like it dark. I like it more real. Something like, oh my gosh, like if I had to continue to try to piece together this puzzle and every day my memory resets, like eventually you give up. You know what I mean? Like that's right. And so the number 23, we mentioned it in one of our last conversations, but the number 23, I want to bring that up because of Jim Carrey. Yeah. Jim Carrey is a comedian, and some say comedians are probably the most darkest souls. You know what I mean? Like they're complicated, right? And they use humor to get over whatever they're getting through. Yeah. Well, when you look through Jim Carrey's filmography, you see he is all across the board. He will go dark, and then he will go slapstick funny. And so so the number 23. Dark, right? He's trying to piece together this heinous thing that happened, and you realize, like, dude, again, I don't want to give it away, but it's like, oh my gosh. But then also I want to bring up, and so that was 2007, but I want to bring up what he did 7 years before that. Me, Myself, and Irene. Slapstick comedy, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And in that situation, he had it was schizophrenia. Yeah. So, and I might be saying it wrong, but like, so one side of his brain would snap in and out. And then when his other side was in, that other side didn't know what was going on.
That's right.
And that was jacking him up as he was trying to complete his task as a police officer. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so that made it funny because he's just like, I'm a good guy. I'm trying to do this good thing. But this other guy is not a good guy. He does not care. And you need that, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, this is what you would really do if you didn't know who you were, if you didn't give if you didn't care about, and I love that. So I just wanted to bring up those two comparisons because they're night and day different. It's the same character and he executed flawlessly. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. And you touched on something interesting there, like the environment that the character's placed in can have an effect on like how appealing it is, like the use of the trope, because like you just said there, police officer, someone with, a lot of responsibility. Straight away, you're kind of like, well, if your memory's affected, how's that going to affect how you do your job? So even before we get to the character, just that premise there is kind of like interesting. I'd look at that. It's a good hook.
Yeah. The whole movie is about how do you perform your job when you're not able to perform your job.
Yeah. So again, it's not necessarily the fact that he's a monster or like this heroic figure. the challenge itself is the job and dealing with, not having the memory of the role you're meant to be carrying out.
That's right.
Okay, so for the next one, I'll say just beyond the who am I style memory loss. What other ways do you think it could be used as a trope? Just for like some of the writers out there that might be dealing with this.
For me personally, I think like it's one of those things where if you think of the core questions that they always say, the who, what, where, when, and all that stuff, I think if you look beyond the who and you look at any of those questions, you start to find something more interesting. If you think of Bourne, there's the question of like, who am I? But there's the bigger question is like, why do I know this? What did I do to learn this skill?
Yeah.
And all of those things. And those questions become more interesting than who am I? Because who am I is just going to be like, well, I know my name's Jason Bourne. I'm apparently a spy. But what did I do to do this? Who are the people that put me in this position? Who are those things? I think those questions start to be more interesting. But again, it comes down to the premise that you have built and the situation you've constructed. If you go back to Me, Myself, and Irene, as Remy just like perfectly like described, that movie isn't really about who am I. Like it's a much different kind of approach to the story. I think it's about finding what is the unique hook of your story and looking beyond the who am I as to what is beyond that. Memento is like what happened and all that, and those sorts of things. So it's really just think about your premise, think about the character, think about their worst dilemma in that situation, and you start to find really interesting questions from there. Really interesting questions.
And again, like you've just triggered something as well. I like the example of using the hook at the end, the original Planet of the Apes, where it's more of a when he finds out they're still in the same place. Right. So that opens the loop as well for the audience, and you want to know more, but that comes at the end. So I like that use of it as well, where it's like he believes he knows what's going on up until the very last moment, and then he's reminded.
There's also, isn't there a bit of like a reverse aspect of it in, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but The Usual Suspects is kind of a similar thing, right?
Oh,
where it's almost there's almost like an amnesia element at the end. You find out, no, there wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because
none of this happened.
you kind of duped as the audience into thinking like, you have all the information, and then they open the curiosity loop right at the end, which is.
But it's like I remember really early on. I had, I think, I'm trying to remember who. If somebody told it to me, or I read it in a book or something. But somebody had said to me like, as a writer, you should be thinking about every beat on the page, or every page or beat, whatever it is. Every page has to raise a question in the viewer, and you have to be thinking about something. What's going to happen next? What is that? Who is that person to that person? Whatever it is, you have to raise curiosity constantly. And so, who am I is just the basic question.
Yeah.
You have to think beyond that, and every single scene in your movie, whatever, should have a question that goes a little bit deeper. And then by the end, you'll have something so much more interesting.
I would add to that. One, I love that our conversation is also, it's Amnesia, but now it's jumping into, plot twist. That wasn't real. But you know what I mean? So now it's
like playing with memory.
I wanted to bring up the movie The Vacancy. Came out 2007. They all, different patrons come to this motel, and so now you're really you're curious about each of these patrons because they're all weird, they're all just unusual, and they're like, why are they all in the same location? And then you find out at the end that plot twist. I don't want to give it away again, but I think why that success, that's a $19 million budget, by the way, in 2007. I don't know what that inflation would be to today, but my point is I think it was successful. At least I think fondly of it. I would go back and watch it. If it's on TV, I'll probably put it on just because it had me surprised, man. I'm just like, these characters are so what? And then again, if it's something that took me by surprise, then I'm in. And I don't know what it takes to take me by surprise, but the writer figured that out. Yeah. And that's impressive.
Yeah. That's the hardest part, is trying to figure out how to surprise them but keep it plausible. Because that's really difficult to try and map out that kind of a plot.
And something else I like as well is, rather than just having someone with the exposition on the sidelines, bringing them back up to speed, I like the reactions of the other characters to the person that's lost their memory. So it's showing you, like, giving you a little window into how they're thinking and how they're processing it, because it's kind of like, say it's like your wife or something like that. It's kind of like she's going to have a reaction where it's more caring, more understanding, where someone might panic, like, oh, he's lost his memory, what do we do now? And then I like seeing it that way as well, from the reactions of, like, the interactions of whoever they're speaking to, like post memory loss. That's always interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I do like when a writer puts some into the support characters.
I agree. That is one of my biggest pet peeves, is if I... It's very rarely in movies, but whenever I read a script and I see it, like usually a monologue where somebody's talking to their brother, and they're like, as you know, 10 years ago when Dad died, you went to university, you did the thing. And I just think, what are you doing? Please, there's got to be a better way to do this than to just have someone talk for 2.5 pages about something they already knew.
Yeah.
Like,
we all learned that. First-time writers were like, you know what?
That's right.
We gotta learn how to do this. It's showing, not telling.
Yeah.
You go back to basics.
And it is difficult as well, because in that format you are having to tell, so it's like making that differentiation in the script as well.
It's how you tell.
That's right.
That's what you have to learn. And every writer tells differently, right?
Yeah.
Mostly you should strive to show, but there are moments where you need to just tell, because it's simplified, it's efficient, but you know what I mean? It doesn't need a lot of backstory. But Shutter Island, I'm surprised we didn't even mention that one.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Gosh.
And I mention it because of the way you mentioned, and what triggered it was when you said, like, when a wife and to a husband. Yeah. Well, this dude was was the psychiatrist to the patient.
Yeah.
And he would go through this elaborate, this what do you call it? This act to act out this trauma, which Jay, I wanted to go back to what you said. It's that explaining that thing that made everything, that created the story to begin with. That's trauma. Everyone wants to understand, what was the trauma, and kind of unpack that a little bit. Yeah. But you unpack it through the depth of the whole story, because
that's right.
Right? It's like, you don't want to tell people exactly what happened. No. You want to see it through this person's actions, and then at the end you're like, oh my gosh, because your dad did that to you. Yeah. Oh my, that's how it is.
That's right.
But Shutter Island was the same thing. It's like, he had to make Leonardo DiCaprio face his trauma, because he did something that his own mind refused to remember. Now that is, I don't even know what that's called, but when something just snaps in there and you're like, nope, I did something so bad, I never want to remember that again. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah. The repression.
Yeah, I was going to say repression would be a word for that.
There was another movie, I feel like I'm going to make this up now, and it's going to be something else. I'm sure there's a movie with Robert De Niro, like Hide and Seek or something, and the girl has an imaginary friend, and it's something to do with memory loss. I'm just absolutely
Is it Al Pacino and Brittany Murphy? Is it called Catch Me If You Can? Or not Catch Me If You Can, but it's called hold on. Al Pacino and Brittany Murphy. Because you said Robert De Niro, and I'm like, okay, I'm following you.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I feel like I've made it up.
Just hallucinated the film.
Brittany Murphy.
There's a movie with De Niro, and I think it was Dakota Fanning, and I'm absolutely certain that the whole thing is like, it's some sort of repressed trauma thing, like exactly like you're saying. Because to me, the thing that I always kind of tell people, when you're building characters, the trauma is the character. Like, that is it. Like, as soon as you figure that out, the rest of it's you'll figure it all out. But everything is a repressed trauma to some degree or another. Like, that's just like amazing storytelling. It's why like the Amnesia stories really need to kind of lean into that to some degree, because Amnesia is just repressed memories to some degree for whatever reason.
Yeah,
they're memories that are not accessible to us, for better or worse.
So in terms of using this trope, would you say it would be better to like focus on the character and the trauma, or the situation, the circumstances of the amnesia?
They have to be tied, in my opinion. They have to be in any situation. Sorry, in any story. From what I have found, you have to take the flaw of the character or the trauma of the character and build the situation to trigger that repeatedly, because that is the only way that you can constantly generate conflict that is going to trouble them. The whole thing about let me try and think of an example now. I'm really going to try and think of something because I don't want to keep going back to Bourne, but Bourne is just so.
It's so good. It's so good. Like, I wouldn't even blame you. That's the thing.
No, but it really is a story of like he's in a conspiracy, but he doesn't remember any of the things about himself. He doesn't remember what he did, why he's involved, how he's involved, where his skills came from, the whole thing, and yet he is constantly pursued by these people. He has this woman who maybe he's like aligned with or not. There's another assassin out to kill him. There are so many things that are specifically tied to him and his past and everything. The situation is built around him. If you take him out and put somebody else in, it doesn't really work.
True.
So every story has to come from that place of character. You have to find that flaw and just construct it around that. That to me is like the key to good storytelling.
That's some good advice there.
Yeah. There's also a movie. I've just remembered one other Amnesia story. There's a movie with Nicole Kidman, and I think it's called Before I Go to Sleep, and she's married to. I'm sure she's married to Colin Firth, and there's another guy, and she wakes up every morning and she can't remember whatever is going on. There's a serial killer involved and all this sort of stuff. And I think now that I think about it, if you're going to ask me to pick, I've just brought this up because I've just thought of it as a movie that I don't think was as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
That to me would probably be the example that I would pick, because that's also based on a book that I believe is fairly good.
Oh.
And the movie was, to me, I was like, it's really obvious what's happening.
You said Nicole Kidman?
Yeah.
You mean The Others? The horror movie?
No.
Okay.
No. It's a movie with Nicole Kidman and Colin Firth, but I don't remember who the other person is. And she's an amnesiac who gets involved in like a murder thing. But I was just like, it's so obvious what's happening. I was like, it's really not difficult to guess.
Well, can I throw in some more movies? Because I think there's a whole conversation to talk about generations of with the generation the movie came out and how much better or worse it was at using the trope, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, or making it more complex, whatever you want to say. But the movies I want to bring up is What Lies Beneath, 2000, Michelle Pfeiffer. Hold on, let's see who else was in. Michelle Pfeiffer and Harrison Ford.
Yep.
Now that's completely story about, hey, I feel like, you know, can't remember exactly how it went down, but it was like, no, I feel like, you know, basically my husband murdered me, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, how does that make sense?
Yes.
And you're like, I don't know how that makes sense, but I think my husband murdered me. And you're like, what? And then, like I said, I don't want to give it away, but you learn that it's a bit of an amnesia. It's kind of like she does know something went down, but she's trying to piece it together. Check that out, 2000.
Yep.
The Others, Nicole Kidman, they didn't realize that, you know, they have moved on from this earthly plane.
Yeah.
Amnesia, right? It's like of the trauma of repressing the idea that you are no longer living.
Yeah.
That's another one. And again, so that one was in 2001. So we're 2000, 2001. And then the last one that I was going to bring up was, which I thought, Jay, you were talking about, was Don't Say a Word. Now that one is Michael Douglas and Brittany Murphy. And the idea is that Brittany Murphy, when she was a child, witnessed a heinous murder of her family. Fast forward when she's an adult, she's in a psychiatric ward under Michael Douglas, and he's, you know, she's under his care. But now these bad guys, these antagonists, are coming after her because she knows this digit to something that they still need, and so she's got it up there, but she's so whacked out from her trauma, like she it's kind of like she writes all over her walls, right, of her room, and so you have to kind of find where the patterns are to piece those numbers together. Anyways, that movie came out here in 2001. So there it is, 2001. I feel as if that era of film, they absolutely went above and beyond in trying to make sure that it was well executed. Let me stop there.
That's right.
Do you think that's down to just like attention spans and patience with stories? Do you think as we've got on, there's less patience for that kind of story? Because even like we said with Jason Bourne, because it's action, we're still kind of gripped by it because there's a lot going on the screen, and it's kind of like the sequences and set pieces. But you don't see a lot of like movies like that, especially ones that become popular.
Yeah, it's really difficult today.
Yeah,
it's a very depressing situation. I don't necessarily want to blame attention spans as much as I just think I really have to think carefully how to phrase this. No animosity to the studios, but there is no real creative risks being taken in any form. So I think the scripts that are coming out that do have interesting angles on this, they're either getting very watered down to the point that they're not like making use of that premise, or they're just not coming out, or in the occasional time when something does come out, it doesn't do well, or whatever it is. There's a thousand reasons for these things, I guess. But I don't know if I would blame the attention span of the audience as much as I just think the people in charge they're not creatives anymore. It's like they don't really get what the situation is.
If I could piggyback off that, I agree. It's not the attention span. I think that's when you say attention span, that's an audience issue. The audience that would watch something like a suspenseful thriller, they're not looking for something fast paced, right?
Yeah,
true. And so you know what I mean. They are intentionally going to that. So I agree with you, Jay. It's not genre based necessarily. Every genre has its fan base, but it's the hey, are we going to do what's necessary to produce a quality film? Yeah. And nowadays, back in the day, I think they would say, we got a checklist. We got to hit everything on that checklist. Now they're like, hey, we got a little black book of things that we told ourselves we would never do. And now we're cherry picking because of times, right? It's like, no, we got to save money. We can only use, this much, whatever. But they are taking all of these, used to be, hey, we wouldn't even put a movie out unless all of these checklist items were done, and now you're like, hey, you know what? If we could just do half of this, let's get it out. Yeah, and it's tanking. It's tanking hard that they've moved towards that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supply and demand, though. I think they should hold off.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. Like on the side of the audience, sometimes there's fatigue, and like we said before, there's superhero fatigue now. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, so what I meant by that is like, they had the perfect opportunity, and I still think it's happening right now. But in 2020, right, between 2020 and let's call it 2025, this year, there was a huge lag in new quality films hitting audiences, right?
Yeah.
And that's the whole disruption between theater and streaming. But my point is that there was so much creativity that has blossomed in those years. And the challenge has become getting all of that creativity out. That's why we're in the renaissance that we're in right now, because they're slowly coming out. Over the next 5 years, we're going to see A24 rebranded themselves. Come think about that. Like that, we've seen a lot of people rebrand themselves because they're like, hey, you know what? We learned that we were successful here, but we really like this, or we were really more successful over here. And so now they're just more focused on how to do that.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. That's my... what do you call it? My theory as to what it's like right now. Let me go back to what I said. We should have waited. If they wanted people to come back to the theaters after lockdown and whatnot, they should have allowed those new creative stories and gave it as much resources as they needed while they were saving all those dollars because people weren't going to theaters.
Yeah.
Let's save this money. Let's pick the creatives, right? And then let's back them. They don't know what they're doing in this realm. We do, but we don't know what we're doing as far as the story. We don't. And I think, to your point, Jay, there's studios that just won't admit that.
No. It's all tech companies now. So it's the creative executives and the people who made movies all their lives, they don't exist now. It's like, it's all just the Apple people. You make phones. It's like, you got a few good TV shows, but it's like it is what it is. No animosity to the Apple people.
That's gonna be your catchphrase now.
That's gonna be it.
I like that, because, and again, you bring up a good point. It's the same way there's no like new superstars in terms of like actors, and because no one appreciates the craft to that level where they're gonna really become engrossed in the role that they're playing, and like you get a few outliers, but not to the same degree that we had like decades ago. And I don't think we're going to see careers like that ever again.
It goes back to the Marvel thing that we said earlier. Like they all, as soon as you kind of align yourself with an iconic character or whatever it is in another sequel or a remake or prequel, whatever it is, you're kind of you're stuck. Like you can't do it. And I think that's why like Timothée Chalamet is the only one I can think of, and maybe Zendaya, who have really like made it, because they didn't play Superman's son, or they didn't play whatever. They really kind of did their own thing. It's very difficult now. It's a really weird situation to be in.
Back to what you just said, Carmine, I think there has been a huge drop off of talent in the actor world.
100%.
And my cousin is she's an actress as well. And this past holiday, she told me she's going back to theater. Yeah. And she that's, to me, I've seen a huge wave of individuals who have films out, successful films out, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to stop for a little bit. I'm going to go back to basics. Yeah. And then they go on to say it's way harder to do theater. You have to go every night. You have to impress these people every night, and you have to kill it, right? Yeah. It's completely different. I don't know, right? But it's completely different. But you have to be able to do it yourself. Like, you have to play the role, and then everyone has to play their role. And I was reading something. It was like the way theater works is so much different than film studios, and how people have to take care of their own. You know what I mean? In a sense. And it's like, no, you got to come correct, or your number two is going to step up. Because if you're not ready to go, your number two is definitely ready to go. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And they don't have that if you're a Chris Hemsworth. It's like, well, who's number two to Chris Hemsworth? No, there's only one Thor. Right?
True.
So I think you got to go back to the trenches. If you cannot please a random crowd of 100 people on some stage in wherever, then no, I don't think you should go to television or film. You need to start with people. Yeah. That's who you're trying to get to, right? You don't know people anymore if you can't pull off a role.
This is a whole different discussion, but I do think theatre's going to see like a big resurgence at some point, even though I'm noticing like even Gen Z, they're more interested in those kinds of experiences now because they've grown up with things that are just overproduced, and they want those kinds of experiences because they're not socializing more, so maybe that as an experience is more appealing to them now. But I've noticed that now, like a lot of the younger people want those kinds of old experiences. They're going back to the 80s when like all the films were new, they were all new IPs, they went like remake after remake. So I do think we're going to see something quite interesting with theatre as well.
I think also part of that is going to come down to, as AI and deepfakes and everything gets more and more everything, I think seeing a live performance is going to be a very different thing than if they're going to drag, like, you know, decades from now, if they're going to drag Harrison Ford out of the grave for Indiana Jones 5, like 6 or whatever it is, where he's like, you know,
I wouldn't put it past Disney.
They will do that at some point. Like, you know, of course they're going to go to the theatre to go and see real people be, you know, everything. I think for sure that's going to play a part in it.
The reason
we're going to go...
I was going to say, the reason I think you're right is because Doomsday, you know, Robert Downey Jr. came back after his character, you know, so they're proving that, you know, they're up for that.
It's going to flop.
It is. It's going to be terrible.
All of it's going to flop. And you know what? It's intentional, too. It's like, we're not going to the theaters to see this.
No.
They've sort of done the exact same thing with the next Scream movie, where they brought back basically all of the dead killers from all the other movies. And I do kind of look at it and I'm a little bit like, it doesn't make me feel confident in what you're doing if you're just bringing back all these people, which it's obviously going to be some AI deepfake thing, just 100%. For a little bit of like nostalgia bait thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't bode well for what you're doing if you're relying on.
You said it. Nostalgia is what they're relying on, and they have tarnished it to the point to where if I see Scream 1 show, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it. It's just, I don't, because then it's just like, hey, Scream 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. Yeah. Don't want to get into that algorithm. I said goodbye to you guys back in 1998. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanted to, not to go backwards, but my family, we're going to go see Moana on stage for my daughter.
Yeah.
Like, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't wait to do that. Not because I want to see Moana on stage, just because I know my daughter's going to lose her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not the same. I wanted to make that statement. And then the second statement is, I was going to say voice acting. There's going to be an even bigger uptick in voice acting. But I would say the challenge with that is back to the AI piece, right? Yeah. So now I envision celebrities or even non-celebrities, once they get to a certain level of fame because of their voice or whatever, they are going to get royalties off of their voice. They're going to just use AI to do, and it's like, yeah, I'll do that movie. How much money am I getting? It's going to be way less salary, right?
Yeah.
Because now you're not having to stay in the studio and actually do it. I think there's going to be two different forms of doing that, but I still think it's going to go up. And I say that because I use my daughter as the reference because I watch what she watches now. And that new K-pop Hunter show
I've heard a lot about that. I haven't seen it.
Dude, so read up on the musician that wrote in Sang the hit for that movie. Because that song is off the chart. It's blowing up right now. She's making a lot of money. And she tried to get into the K-pop entertainment industry for decades.
Yeah.
And it was this opportunity that took her and actually put her where she needs to be. It gave her flowers, right. I'll put it that way. So, that's why I say voice acting too, because, you couldn't find this lane wasn't open to you, and then you found a whole new lane.
Yeah. Yeah, it is going to play a big part just in entertainment overall. Mm-hmm. But I just want to put this question to you guys as well, just back onto Amnesia. What frustrates you more, like when the character never gets their memory back, or when it happens at a convenient time, where it's just like to you, what's more unsatisfying?
When it happens at a convenient time, there's no question. There's no. I don't have to think about that. It is so. This goes back again to the earlier question about like, is it lazy? It's lazy when it's like that. If you are just coming up with like, oh, he sees a knife and then he suddenly remembers this thing from like 4 years ago that he exactly needs in this moment. No, that's lazy. It's more interesting if he gets the wrong memory and he gets something that's completely unhelpful to the situation he's in, and then, he has to find a way to make that work. That's more interesting. If you're just giving them the answers all the time, it's just, what's the story? There's no conflict to it. You're just like, if you think of like you are God in this like story that you are creating, you're just being like, yeah, good job, man. Great. Here's a little prize because you threw a little tantrum. Here you go. Off you go. It doesn't work that way. It's so boring. You have to like put them through hell. You have to like really make them whatever. So if they don't get their memory back at the end of the story, there are stories where that would be really disappointing, or it wouldn't work, and I could see that. But I, as a reader, as a viewer, as a human, I find it so much more irritating when the story is just like feeding the characters the answers exactly at the moment that they need it. So no, make them work for it.
Yeah.
I would say this.
Go on. Do you want to go?
I was just going to answer the question.
Okay. Yeah. You can go, and I'll give my my thoughts after you.
I was just going to say I agree. That's probably the worst. I would say right up there would be leaving it completely open-ended. Nothing was solved. Yeah. That right there, it's like, why did I watch this if you're not even going to tell? I at least want to know that dude never woke up from a coma or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know that dude never woke up.
Yeah.
or that he died 6 years later. I like though, just at the end, if it just cuts and it's like, give me some words to like wrap it up, I'll take that. Yeah. But if you give me nothing and it's just blue sky and then it's straight up credits, I'm never watching you again.
No.
So that.
I agree.
Because I was just thinking about it because, again, if the character doesn't regain their memories at any point and you're watching the film or reading the book, hoping that, well, you kind of train to know at some point there's a possibility they're going to get all their memories back and then, you know, the game's back on. Do you not think that's a bit frustrating when, you know what, like going back to what you said, Jay, it's about the execution and how much they've been given in terms of the breadcrumbs, because I can see how, for an audience member, if you know like what they're meant to do and how they're meant to fit in the story, but they don't, that can be really unappealing, because it's you're just shouting at the screen, watching this person go through, like bumping into walls and things like that, and then there's no payoff. Like, it just kind of feels like there was no reason for that. Yeah,
I think that there are stories where I could argue that ending with them not getting the memory back would work.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they exist. And you could say it's like a tragedy and all that stuff. Yeah. That's you know, it could work. But I do think that I completely agree with Remy. I get so irritated. I don't like ambiguity personally. I can accept it sometimes in stories people do. Like, I accept that it exists. I accept it as a concept. It's fine. But it's not my taste. And I've seen there's one particular TV show, I don't know if I want to name it because some people love it, and every time I've said that I didn't like it, I get so much anger about it. But
describe it and let's see if I know what it is.
There's no way to describe this show
without giving it away.
Do you know what, I'm going to just give you a clue and you're going to get it straight away because it's the only clue I can give you. It's a David Lynch show.
Mm-mm.
You don't know it. I'm just going to tell you what it is.
I probably know it, but I don't know by that.
It was the Twin Peaks return. It was the sequel to the thing.
Okay.
And it, I understood going in. I was like, they're not going to explain anything. They're going to end it on like a new. Like, I already knew it, and they did it. And I was just so. I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with it. And people love it, and I'm like, that's good for you. I'm like,
did you like the original Twin Peaks?
I did. I liked it for what it was until it got really goofy and silly, and there was a woman like throwing humans, and there was a woman who was a doorknob or something. That's okay. I enjoyed it. I just thought that the second one, there was a whole scene in like the finale where it's just them driving for about 13 minutes, and there's no dialogue. There's no music.
Do you think they were just trying to be artsy? Like, do you think that's what it was?
Yeah,
a bit pretentious. Like you're gonna watch this. This is a film, but on TV, kind of thing.
It was a bit like having somebody in front of you being like, "You're gonna watch this. You're not gonna fast forward 13 through it. You're gonna watch all of this."
Yeah.
You're gonna think this is going somewhere. It's not going anywhere.
There's no payoff.
It did feel like that, but again, it's like some stories, you know, they lend themselves to that. I guess it is ultimately that show is just a big dream. So I guess, you know, you got to accept it for what it is.
That's a whole other topic as well about how unsatisfying that is, but we can get to that at another point. Any thoughts, Remy?
Well, I wanted to say I've never seen Twin Peaks. Straight up.
I'm
looking at the beginning and the new stuff. Okay.
You will have some thoughts on it. I expect trippy. From the things that you've said in this podcast, I think you'll have some thoughts on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll do just that.
Yeah.
No, I definitely got thoughts. and you know what? I need to be better about, you know, using my international film base. I rely on a lot of the American movies that I reel off. But dude, I am a child of the world, and unfortunately I need my spreadsheet to be able to be like, that's the name of that movie. You know what I'm saying? To be like, that's the one I want to reference here, and I remember it clear as day. I just couldn't remember the damn name. But anyways, I want to do that more, because I feel like we could be touching on so many more films, right? And there's so many. I hate to put it, there's so many dark and jacked up, twisted stories and you know, whatever, and positive stories that come out of all different studios around the world.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't even gotten I had a whole. I went into a Korean drama period of my life, and I'm like, dude, that's some of the best told stories. It's just period. It's dark as hell.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and they complete the story. It's like when I get to the end of it, I'm like, I don't know if I can watch that again, just because it was so much of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
I felt it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we there's more to talk about.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do this again at some point as well.
There's a Korean movie. I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list because I love the actor Kang Han-il. He's like the lead in that, and it's a movie called Forgotten. And I haven't seen it. I know it's an amnesia. It's an amnesia story.
Oh.
And I can't say anything about it because I haven't seen it. Don't know.
This one's newer, 2017.
But that's another one for your like international like.
I'm gonna check it out.
Stories. I love him as an actor, so I definitely want to see that.